The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council stood silent. Thousands of beings from every corner of the galaxy sat in their floating seats. The ceiling above was a massive glass dome, showing the glowing blue star Centaura. It was a symbol of unity, but today that symbol felt cold and distant. At the center of the hall stood Mara Vance. She wore a simple dark blue uniform with Earth's symbol on her chest, a small, shining circle with a single line running through it. She stood tall, but her heart was heavy. She knew what she was about to say would shake the galaxy. Mara cleared her throat. Her voice echoed through the hall. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I stand before you today with a message from Earth. She paused. No one made a sound. After long debate and careful thought, Earth has chosen to leave the Galactic Council. Our membership ends today. The silence broke like glass. Voices rose in shock and anger. Some shouted in protest. Others whispered in fear. Mara stood still, letting them speak. She had expected this. High Chancellor Zyron raised one long, pale hand. The hall went quiet again. He floated down from his high seat, his robe trailing behind him. His skin shimmered silver under the lights. His dark eyes locked onto Mara. Ambassador Vance, Zyron said in a deep, steady voice. Do you understand what you are saying? I do, Mara replied, keeping her voice calm. Earth has been part of this council for 93 years, Zyron continued. We built peace together. We stopped wars. We shared knowledge. Why now? Mara took a breath. She knew this question would come. Earth values peace, Chancellor. But over the years, this council has changed. Deals are made in the shadows. Smaller worlds are forced to follow laws they never agreed to. Power is no longer shared. It is controlled by a few. Some members nodded. Others looked away. Zyron narrowed his eyes. This is a dangerous step. You risk everything. And what of your zero-core technology? You have unlocked power greater than any civilization. Will you share it with us before you leave? Mara stood firm. Zero-core belongs to Earth. We will use it to protect our people. We offer to share it fairly, but you demanded full control. Earth will not hand over its future. The hall filled with angry voices again. Some shouted that Earth was selfish. Others accused Mara of putting the galaxy in danger. Zyron raised his hand once more. The noise died down. He floated closer to Mara. Earth's choice will bring fear. Trade will fail. Worlds will fall apart. Are you ready to carry that weight? Mara felt the pressure in her chest, but she knew her answer. We are ready, she said. Zyron stared at her for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice colder than ice. Then you leave us no choice. Earth will face the galaxy's judgment. May your people be ready. Mara turned and walked out of the hall. She did not look back. She knew the hardest part was yet to come. As she stepped onto her ship, she looked once more at the glowing star above. This is just the beginning, she thought. The news of Earth's exit spread faster than light. Within hours, every corner of the galaxy heard the announcement. From the icy moons of Pelora to the sky cities of Varen, people talked about nothing else. Some were afraid. Others were angry. Many felt lost. On Earth's home station, Lunar Bay 7, Mara stood in the command room. Large screens showed news reports from across the galaxy. Every channel showed the same headline: Earth leaves the Council. The faces on the screens showed fear. Merchants worried their ships would lose safe passage. Leaders warned of broken trade deals. Civilizations that depended on Council protection feared they would be left alone. Mara turned to her advisor, Commander Hale, an older man with silver hair and sharp eyes. They're falling apart faster than I expected, Mara said quietly. Commander Hale crossed his arms. The Council controlled them with fear for too long. Without Earth, they don't know what to believe anymore. Mara watched a report from the Sharian Empire. Their leader, Empress Kale, stood before her people. The Council has failed us, the Empress declared. If Earth will not share its power, we must prepare for war. We cannot let them stand alone with zero core. Mara felt her stomach twist. Commander Hale spoke again. You should speak to them. Tell the truth. Calm them down. Mara nodded. She knew it was the right move. She called for a galaxy-wide broadcast. Hours later, she stood before a camera, lived to billions. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, Earth's exit is not an act of war. We seek peace, but we will no longer be controlled by fear or greed. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. Zero core is not a weapon. It is a gift. But the Council will try to claim it for themselves. Earth refused. We believe in sharing, but not by force. We asked for peace and respect. Some listened. Some did not. The next day, Mara traveled to Centaura Prime again. She met with several leaders from smaller worlds. The meeting room was small but tense. The leader of Draxon, a small mining world, spoke first. His voice shook with worry. You left us with nothing, he said. Without the Council, who will protect us from pirates and warlords? Mara leaned forward. The Council used you for your resources. They never truly protected you. You have a right to stand on your own. Earth will help, but not through Council control. Another leader, from the water world Solora, raised her voice. Help? You cut us off from trade. Ships are turning back. We can't survive like this. Mara felt the weight of their words. She knew leaving the Council would hurt at first, but she had hoped they would understand. We will open new trade routes, she promised. Fair and free routes. No Council taxes. No Council rules. Some nodded. Some remained silent. Later that night, Mara sat alone in her ship's quarters. She watched a message from Xiron on her personal screen. His voice was cold, but his face showed no anger. You speak of peace, Ambassador, he said. Yet your words bring fear. You may leave the Council, but you will never leave the galaxy. Every choice has a cost. Mara deleted the message without replying. She knew Xiron was trying to scare her. She looked out the window at the stars. The galaxy felt larger than ever, but Mara's mind was clear. Earth had made its choice. Now, they had to stand by it. The Council had started to turn the galaxy against her. Fear was growing, and Mara knew Xiron's next move would be worse. Mara sat in the darkened command room of her ship, the Horizon. The glow from the control panels cast a soft light on her face. She stared at the galaxy map in front of her. Blinking dots marked worlds where new problems had started. Pirate attacks, trade blockades, and riots. Fear had spread like a sickness. The Council was losing control. But instead of seeking peace, they were fueling the fire. Commander Hale entered quietly and placed a small data tablet on the table. We intercepted this an hour ago, he said. It's a Council transmission. Mara picked up the tablet. A shaky video played. A group of Council agents in black armor stood outside a secret Earth outpost on Mars. They carried energy rifles. Behind them, 2 transport ships hovered. The agents are looking for zero-core tech, Hale explained. They didn't ask permission. They just landed and started searching. Mara clenched her fists. Did they take anything? Hale shook his head. They left before backup arrived. But they'll be back. Xiron won't stop until he controls zero-core. Mara stood up. She walked to the large window at the front of the ship. The stars stretched endlessly before her. They're already turning the galaxy against us, she whispered. Now, they're trying to steal from us, too. The door behind her slid open again. A young officer, Lieutenant Kayla, rushed in. Ambassador, you have a private message from Chancellor Xiron, she said, breathing hard. He wants to speak to you now. Mara nodded. Put it through. A few moments later, Xiron's face appeared on the screen. He smiled, but his eyes were sharp and cold. Ambassador Vance, Xiron said softly, you have been very busy. Mara didn't return the smile. Spare me the small talk. You sent agents to our outpost. That's an act of aggression. Xiron leaned back in his seat, looking relaxed. Aggression? No. I simply send investigators to confirm Earth's peaceful intentions. By breaking into our land with guns drawn, Mara shot back. Xiron waved his hand, brushing away her words like dust. Let's not fight, Mara. I have a better offer. Mara raised an eyebrow, but stayed silent. You and I both know the Council is fragile, Xiron continued. But with your help, we could rebuild it. You could be more than just Earth's ambassador. You could help lead the entire galaxy. Mara felt anger rise in her chest. You're offering me power in exchange for Earth's freedom, she said. Xiron's smile faded slightly. I'm offering you peace. The galaxy needs a strong hand. Together, we could keep order. No more fear. No more chaos. Mara leaned closer to the screen. You don't want peace, she whispered. You want control, and Earth will never give you that. Zyron's face darkened. His voice turned cold. Then prepare for what comes next. You've made your choice. The screen went dark. Mara turned to Hale and Kayla. Give me a meeting with every independent leader still willing to talk, she ordered. We need allies before it's too late. Over the next few days, Mara traveled from world to world. She met with leaders from the free colonies, the trading guilds, and even old enemies of the council. Some were afraid to meet her. Others were angry. Many blamed Earth for the growing chaos. But a few listened. One of them was Tarek Sol, leader of the Outer Rim Alliance. His people had never fully trusted the council. You've made the council weak, Tarek told Mara. But if you don't stop Zyron, he'll bring the galaxy to war. Mara nodded. That's why I need your help. We can stand together. We can build something better. Tarek crossed his arms. You'll have my support. But be ready. Zyron isn't done yet. Late that night, back on the horizon, Mara sat alone in her quarters. She replayed Zyron's words in her mind. He had offered her power. He had offered her peace. But at what cost? Mara knew one thing for sure. Zyron was not finished. He was already planning his next move. And this time, he would not hide in the shadows. The official message from the Galactic Council arrived 2 days later. A special peace summit had been called. All council members and major leaders from across the galaxy were invited. The message carried Zyron's personal seal. Mara stood in front of her crew on the horizon. She held the message in her hand. It's a trap, Commander Hale said firmly. He wants you back on Centaura Prime, where he can control you. Mara nodded. I know, but if we refuse to show up, the galaxy will think we are hiding something. We need to face him. We need to show them the truth. The crew exchanged worried looks. Hale finally sighed. Then we go. But we don't go alone. Mara contacted every ally she had made over the past week. Some answered. Some refused. Only a few agreed to stand beside her, including Tarek Sol from the Outer Rim Alliance. 3 days later, the Horizon landed on Centaura Prime once again. The grand city around the council hall looked different this time. Streets were filled with soldiers. Council guards stood on every corner. Large banners with the council's symbol hung over the buildings. Mara walked toward the council hall with Hale and Tarek by her side. Other leaders followed, including a few brave voices from smaller worlds. Inside the hall, thousands of beings had gathered again. Zyron stood on the high platform, smiling as if nothing had happened. Welcome, honored guests, Zyron's voice boomed through the hall. Today, we settle this crisis with truth. Mara narrowed her eyes. She knew Zyron didn't care about truth. This was about power. Zyron raised one long hand. A large hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed images of Earth's zero-core reactors, secret images that had clearly been stolen. The crowd gasped. Zyron spoke again, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. Here is your truth, he said. Earth claims to seek peace, but they build weapons greater than anything we have seen. They hide behind words while preparing for war. Mara stepped forward at once. Lies, she shouted. Her voice echoed through the hall. Zero Core is not a weapon. It powers our cities, our ships, our people. You took these images without permission. You twist the truth to scare the galaxy. Zyron smiled slowly. Then explain this, he said. Another hologram appeared. This time, it showed a fake battle simulation, ships marked with Earth's symbol attacking other worlds. Mara's heart pounded. She knew it was fake, but it looked real. The room filled with whispers and shouts. They're lying. Tarek shouted from behind her. This is council fear-mongering. Zyron raised his voice above the noise. Earth has chosen to stand alone, but we cannot allow them to threaten us all. We must act to protect the galaxy. Leaders from several powerful civilizations stood up and nodded. Some raised their voices, calling for action against Earth. Mara tried to speak, but her words were drowned by the rising storm of fear and anger. She turned to Hale and whispered, We need to leave. Now, as they walked quickly toward the exit, Zyron's voice rang out one last time. Earth has made itself an enemy of peace. Any world that stands with them will face the same judgment. The threat was clear. Mara and her team made it back to the horizon. Once aboard, Mara slammed her fist on the table. "He's building a case for war," she said through clenched teeth. "He's lying to the whole galaxy, and they're believing him." Targ nodded grimly. "We need proof. Real proof." Mara paced the room. She knew the Council had strict surveillance on all their meetings and operations. If she could find the recordings of Zyron's private orders, the ones that sent agents to Earth, she could expose him. But getting into the Council's data vault would be nearly impossible. Still, Mara knew they had no choice. It was the only way to stop the lies. She looked at Hale and Tarek. "We're going back in," she said firmly. "We're going to steal the truth." Mara stood in the dark cargo bay of the horizon. The ship hovered low over the city, hidden by Centaura Prime's thick cloud cover. The crew gathered around her, ready to hear the plan. "We're going to the Council's data vault," Mara began. "It's deep inside the security tower near the Council Hall. All private records are kept there, including Zyron's orders to attack Earth." Commander Hale stepped forward. "It's suicide," he warned. "That tower is locked down day and night. Guards everywhere. If they catch us, they'll call it an act of war." Mara nodded. "I know the risks. But if we don't stop Zyron's lies, the whole galaxy will turn against us. We need proof. Real proof." Tarek's soul placed his hand on the table. "We came this far, Mara. We'll finish it together." The team prepared for the mission. They dressed in stealth suits, dark and light-absorbing. Their weapons were set to stun. Mara refused to take a life, not unless she had no other choice. Just before midnight, a small shuttle left the horizon. Mara, Hale, and Tarek were on board. They flew low through the city's back alleys, avoiding the patrol ships. Finally, they reached the security tower. The building stood tall, like a black spear in the middle of the city, lights glowing from every window. The shuttle landed on a hidden service platform on the side of the tower. Mara led the way through a maintenance hatch. The air was tight and hot inside the narrow tunnels. They crawled for nearly 20 minutes before reaching a locked panel. Hale hacked the door quietly. It slid open with a soft hiss. Mara peeked out. The hallway beyond was empty. They moved quickly, staying close to the walls. At every turn, they hid from guards and security drones. Finally, they reached the vault door. "This is it," Hale whispered. The vault had a thick energy shield. Hale pulled out a small device and placed it on the control panel. Lights blinked as the device worked to break the lock. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the tower. "They found us!" Tarek shouted. Mara's heart raced. She turned to Hale. "How much longer?" 30 seconds, Hale yelled, working as fast as he could. Guards stormed into the hallway, their rifles ready. Mara and Tarek fired stun blasts, dropping 2 guards. More came from the other side. Mara knew they couldn't hold them all. "Cover me," she ordered. Hale shouted, "It's open." Mara dove into the vault. Rows of data cores lined the walls. She grabbed the one marked Private Orders, High Chancellor Zyron. As she turned to leave, a blast hit the wall next to her. The force threw her to the ground. Pain shot through her shoulder. She tried to stand but saw armed guards surrounding them. Zyron entered the hallway, walking slowly toward them. He looked down at Mara with cold, steady eyes. "You should have accepted my offer," he said softly. Mara struggled to breathe. She looked at Hale and Tarek. They were trapped. Then, out of nowhere, a loud explosion rocked the tower. The lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. Reinforcements from the Outer Rim Alliance had arrived. Tarek's people had launched an attack to save them. Mara grabbed the data core and pushed herself to her feet. "Move!" she shouted. The team fought their way back for the hall. Tarek's soldiers cleared a path. Mara, Hale, and Tarek made it back to the shuttle just in time. As they lifted off, Mara looked down at Zyron, standing in the smoke below. He watched them go, his face filled with silent rage. Back on the horizon, Mara locked the door to the strategy room. She placed the data core into the ship's system. The screen came to life. She saw everything. Zyron's secret orders, his lies, his plan to use fear to control the galaxy. Mara knew what she had to do next. "We broadcast this to everyone," she said. "The whole galaxy needs to see the truth." Commander Hale placed a hand on her shoulder. Are you sure? This will turn the council against us for good. Mara nodded. Let them come. We will stand free or not at all. She turned back to the screen, ready to expose the council once and for all. The crew of the Horizon worked through the night. The stolen data from the council's vault was carefully unpacked and reviewed. Every file, every voice recording, every security log, they had it all. Mara stood in front of the main screen, watching the pieces come together. Zyron's voice played over and over again in her mind. Let them fear Earth. Let them believe war is the only way. The words were clear. The proof was real. There was no way the council could deny it now. Commander Hale walked into the room, rubbing his tired eyes. The message is ready, Mara, he said. We can broadcast to every major network, every council channel, even the civilian networks. Mara nodded. Do it, she ordered. Hale posit. If we do this, they'll come for us. The council won't sit back and watch their lies fall apart. Mara turned to face the crew. I know, she said, her voice steady. But this is bigger than Earth. The galaxy deserves the truth. We end this tonight. Hours later, the Horizon moved into position above Centaura Prime's communication tower. This was the heart of the Council's network, where all official broadcasts began. Tarek Sol stood beside Mara as they suited up for the final mission. We could just send the message from here, Tarek suggested. Why risk going down there? Mara shook her head. They'll block our signal the moment they detect it. We have to send it from a source. Once it's out, they can't stop it. The shuttle lowered toward the tower. Alarms started the moment they appeared on the Council's radar. Patrol ships raced toward them, firing warning shots. Mara gritted her teeth. Full speed. No turning back, she commanded. The shuttle crashed through the tower's landing platform. The team jumped out, blasting their way through security. Smoke and sparks filled the air as they ran toward the broadcast room. Guards closed in on every side. Mara ducked behind cover, firing back with her stun rifle. Tarek and Hale fought beside her. They reached the door to the broadcast center. It was locked tight. Mara turned to Hale. Get it open. I'll cover you. Hale worked quickly, hacking the door's control panel. The door slid open with a loud hiss. But before they could step inside, Zyron appeared. He stood tall, dressed in a black council robe, his face calm but dangerous. You've caused enough damage, Ambassador, he said coldly. Mara raised her rifle. Step aside, Zyron. This ends tonight. Zyron smiled darkly. You still don't understand, do you? You can't save the galaxy. They don't want freedom. They want safety. They want control. And I can give it to them. Mara shook her head. No, you've ruled with fear long enough. The truth belongs to everyone. Zyron's hand moved toward his weapon. But Mara acted first. She fired, hitting Zyron's arm. He dropped to his knees, clutching his side in pain. Mara stepped over him and entered the broadcast room. Hale followed and locked the door behind them. Mara placed the data core into the main console. The screen lit up. A green light signaled that the broadcast was live. Across the galaxy, every screen changed. The Council's official symbol disappeared, replaced by Mara's face. She took a deep breath. People of the galaxy, she began. My name is Mara Vance. I speak to you with the truth the Council has tried to hide. She played the recordings of Zyron's secret orders, his plans to spread fear, his lies about Earth's intentions, his attempt to turn the galaxy toward war. Mara's voice stayed strong. We do not seek war. We seek freedom. You deserve to choose your own path, without fear, without lies. The Council is broken. It is time to build something better. Together. The broadcast ended. Mara stood in silence, her heart pounding. She had done it. The truth was out, but they were still inside the tower. Hale turned to her. They'll be coming any second. Mara nodded. Let's finish this. They rushed back to the shuttle. Council guards were already closing in, but the streets outside were different this time. Civilians had gathered, watching the broadcast on public screens. Some cheered. Others shouted for change. Many pushed past the guards, blocking their way. Mara and her team slipped through the chaos and boarded the shuttle. They lifted off, heading back toward the horizon. As they left the city behind, Mara looked down at the growing crowds. The galaxy had heard the truth, and nothing would ever be the same. Mara stood on the command deck of the Horizon. The ship floated quietly in Earth's orbit, far from the reach of the Council. The broadcast had gone out 2 days ago, and since then, the galaxy had been in chaos. But it was a new kind of chaos, a chaos full of voices rising for change. The Council had tried to block the message. They had tried to claim it was a lie. But the evidence was too clear. Zyron's voice, his orders, his manipulation, all of it had been recorded and broadcast across every world. Billions had seen it. Billions had heard the truth. On Centaura Prime, protests filled the streets. Council guards struggled to keep order. Leaders from small and large worlds began to question their loyalty to Zyron. Some announced their withdrawal from the Council the very next day. Reports came in from all across the galaxy. The trading guilds refused to pay Council taxes. The Outer Rim Alliance declared its independence. Even some of the Council's strongest military allies called for Zyron to step down. The Council was crumbling. Mara sat in her quarters, looking out at the stars. She felt tired, but she knew they had done what they set out to do. Earth had stood up to the Council, and the galaxy had listened. The door slid open. Commander Hale entered, holding a new report. "You need to see this," he said. Mara stood and took the report. It showed a message from Centaura Prime. Zyron had disappeared. The Council was leaderless. Mara let out a long breath. It was over. She walked down to the main deck, where the crew had gathered. Tarek's soul stood with them, arms crossed, a rare smile on his face. "You did it, Mara," Tarek said. "The Council is finished." Mara looked at him. "No," she replied. "It's just broken. The galaxy needs something better now. Something honest." Tarek nodded. "And who's going to build it?" Mara turned to face her crew. "We all are." In the days that followed, Mara sent messages to every world that had stood with Earth. She called for a new meeting, not of rulers or warlords, but of free worlds. A true alliance built on respect, not fear. Leaders from every corner of the galaxy began to respond. Some offered to meet on Earth. Others asked to send their people to join the talks. There were still risks ahead. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in years, hope filled the stars. Weeks later, Mara stood on Earth's surface for the first time in months. She breathed in the fresh air and looked up at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter now. "Commander Halis tut besideher." "Do you think they're ready for peace?" he asked. Mara smiled softly. "I think they're ready to try." She knew it wouldn't be easy. New problems would come. New leaders might rise with the same hunger for power. But she had learned one thing. The truth was the strongest weapon of all. And as long as people stood up to speak it, there was always hope. Mara turned away from the sky and walked toward the council chambers where the first meeting of the Free World Alliance was about to begin. The fight for freedom had started with Earth. Now, it would continue with the galaxy.